Bonjour les amis. This is Generator coming to you directly from the City of Light. I'm Jane Bertch, a Chicago native, Paris-based entrepreneur, author, and your partner in personal reinvention. I've spent the past 20 years living and working in Paris, and after leaving the corporate world and deciding to create something of my own, I've discovered both the beauty and the challenge of building a life shaped by curiosity, creativity, and a sprinkle of courage. In Season 2, we're going to dive deeper into the ideas that spark change. We're going to explore the small habits that shift our trajectories and the trajectories of those around us. We're going to rewrite some of that inner dialogue. We're going to lean into curiosity, and we're going to dare to reinvent ourselves at any stage of life. These are the practices that lead to true transformation. So whether you're planting a seed in your Jardin secret, your secret garden, or giving voice to your creativity for the very first time, let's step into your next chapter with intention. And of course, with a touch of Parisian charm. So as we say in French, on y va, let's go. It's so hard to imagine that we're wrapping up 2025 and this is my last podcast episode of this year. And I think, my goodness, where did it go? It's been such an interesting year. It's been such a journey. And if you're with me for the first time, thank you for joining. And if you've been here through the very beginning, boy, I appreciate you. You know, with podcasts, it's so wonderful because I would say the person who is podcasting, in this case me, maybe gets more out of it than you do. Because just the act of practicing expressing myself to share with you has been so useful. So if there's somebody on the other side of this recording, thank you. If I didn't believe podcasting was important, I'd probably just journal, but I've felt drawn to this and I'm so grateful to have this space. So as this year winds down, I wanted to do something different. I'm not going to do a top tips, but I wanted to prendre une pause, as they say in French, to just take a pause and look back at this year and the conversations and all the things I've learned about podcasting, about growth, about the power of listening, about the power of sharing. You know, we're encouraged to just move on so quickly in life these days and projects and events. And I think taking a moment to reflect, particularly as we're at the end of a calendar year, is so important. And if we can condition ourselves to just reflect daily, it's so important. And this podcast has been kind of my companion, my external companion, through a year of questions and beautiful questions, not conclusions, but questions. And that's perfectly okay. Sometimes we don't have to have the answers to everything. So this was never about being an expert. It was more about sharing a conversation. Maybe there's just one of you out there that needed to hear all of the little things that we've talked about for the past year. So I wanted to share with you what I have learned about podcasting and the real truth. Podcasting isn't about answers. Not at all. Not for me. It's about holding space. You'll see some episodes have a little clarity. Some episodes have a lot of uncertainty. Some episodes are about trusting the process. And I've come to discover things through speaking and sharing. And I want to tell you that growth happens, in my mind, through articulation, not through perfection. So putting yourself in a space where you continue to articulate your values, your beliefs, is so important. And I know we've touched on this concept of finding your voice, and I've now come to believe, and this may change, but my current belief is you never find it. It's a beautiful treasure hunt because your voice is influenced by your values and your experience and those around you. And I hope that those grow and change every day. And if they do, and you do, your voice is ever changing, and that's beautiful, and that's okay. I will tell you that consistency matters more than confidence. It's not easy to talk into a mic when you're in a room all alone and you wonder, is anybody listening to this? But I keep showing up. I keep showing up because I hope that someone's there, but most importantly, I have to do it for me. And that's a message I want all of you to think about. You have to do it for you first. And every time, what I have learned, every time I think, oh, I have nothing left to say, it's because I'm focused more on performing than I am being present. When I get to that point, it's because I'm letting these seeds of doubt get into me around how performative I need to be versus how truthful and just being present in the moment. So that, to me, has been a big eye-opener. And I also want to say that confidence comes through action. You know, sometimes we can look at these people on the outside and think, wow, they just got there. I promise you they didn't. They've gotten there through small steps, not giant leaps. And in those small steps, you build your muscle. You build your confidence muscle. You build your risk muscle. And that's really how it happens. And that's how I've gone this full year of podcasting, is continuing to grow my confidence muscle to show up here. I also have learned that conversation changes the person speaking first. That's me. I've had so many ideas that have become crystallized thanks to this space that I have with you, because I've had to force myself to really think about how to express them and to work through them. And that's helped me make them clear. So podcasting is a reflective space. It's not a performative space for me. And I certainly will tell you, it's not a performative space in the hopes that I have millions of downloads. That's not why I'm here. And if I hoped that, I should have left a long time ago. But it's given me so many other things. It's also given me accountability. When you speak the truth publicly, when you speak your truth, it builds your courage and it keeps you accountable. And I also lastly want to say, your community will show up in unexpected ways. I've been so lucky to have so many wonderful people who've been generous just by telling me that they see me, that they've heard the podcast, they've listened, something resonated with them. Maybe they've shared with me something that they'd love to see me talk about. Those are so encouraging. And it's a reminder that you shouldn't create in isolation. It's the beautiful people around you that will help nourish your ideas. So I thank all of you for that. That's been incredibly enriching to me. It's also a reminder that we've talked about before. You have to practice in public. You have to bring things to light for them to grow. And the people who you surround yourself with are so important in that process. So what are the things we've talked about? My gosh, when I look back, we've talked about so many different things. We've talked about change and transition, how to find your identity. We've talked about life pivots. We've talked about creativity. We've talked about courage. And that means just starting before you're ready and just doing it. We've talked about listening to yourself, most importantly, and reminding yourself that your intuition, this wonderful, beautiful black hole, is just a receptacle of all your past experiences. So the more you expose yourself to different people, to different opinions, to different creative outlets, you're building your intuition, and that's what guides you going forward. I've also talked about the seasons we're in. You know, I love the concept of season, and I've talked so much about your Jardin secret and how important that is, and how you need to nourish it and tend it all year long. There is no such thing as a period where it does nothing. Even in the quiet, even in the winter, things are still happening below the surface. And then, of course, I can't help but we've talked about Paris. I mean, that's been so formative in the way I approach things. We've talked about who sits around your table, literally and figuratively, and the fun of French dinner parties and how you can argue. And I share that in hopes that we appreciate difference of opinions. That's so hard right now. It's really hard right now. I know that there's so much division going on. But if we can get ourselves in a space where we can continue to discuss, I hope we can see our way through that. And that's something that France has taught me, as hard as it is, to continue to hold that discussion. And we've also talked about community and how important allies are. Nothing good, in my opinion, is ever done alone. Every single one of the endeavors I have for 2026 in the year ahead are thanks to the deep discussions, the courage, the support, the ideation from people in my community, from people that have given me hope and a belief that I'm on a right path for what's good for me right now and perhaps good for others. And that's encouraged me to keep going. So thanks to community. And when I think of community, I think of the wonderful women, the incredible women that have taken time to join me here in this space and to share their beautiful voices and values with all of you. And even though we'll recognize they're in so many different industries, different backgrounds, they've had one thing in common, and that's their desire to share. The desire to share and to hold space and the belief in community. You know, we have to be so careful with what we allow ourselves to consume. And I include myself in that. So continue to seek out. I hope you continue to seek out those wonderful positive voices that encourage you, inspire you, help you think about growing. We all need that these days. And why are these conversations important? Because this is where we grow and we learn. This is how we reflect. This is how we become curious. This is how we become nuanced and not one-dimensional. In such a loud, distracting world, to pause and listen and hear what somebody else is saying and to reflect upon it. I almost feel like that's a luxury these days. So let's take time to steal those moments where we can do that. And I will also say the one thing I've learned is when you share, not show off, but when you share, you give someone else the permission to do so. You give them courage. You let them see that you're willing to practice in public, that you're willing to expose what you're working on, and that might encourage them to do the same. I think clarity only unfolds with intention and attention and practice. So I won't wish you a Happy New Year, because you know in France we don't do that until the year has arrived. So you won't hear me say that until January. But I will want to send you into the new year with just a few thoughts. You don't need a full plan. You just need the next step. Somebody recently asked me, did I take big risks or small risks to get to where I am? And hands down, it's small risks, small steps. That's how you create and build. That's how you create and build organically and sustainably. You don't need a big full plan. Number 2, if something feels unfinished, it's still growing. And that's okay. And things grow in different times. And the only time you need to be concerned with is yours. And I will also say timing is divine. Things will happen right at the time they're meant to, even if you don't understand what that timetable is. That I have really, truly come to believe. The other thing I'd like to send you off with is a reminder that listening is a form of leadership in your life and in your business. Deep listening, processing information, and using it is a form of leadership. Number 4, you are absolutely allowed to evolve well beyond who you are. And I hope you do. We all have so many different versions of ourselves to yet explore. That's something for us to think about. And I want to remind you, to explore that, you have to be creative. I hear so many people say they're not creative. Oh, you are. You're very creative. And you're most creative when you're working on your richest, most important work of art, which is yourself. And you are creating each and every day. You are infinitely creative. The problem is, well, I shouldn't say problem, maybe challenge. The challenge is, are you creating what you want? Because you're creating through your thoughts, your words, your actions. You're creating. But are you using those positive thoughts, forward actions, being intentional about pursuing your dreams? Or are you creating through negative thoughts and inaction and not pursuing your dreams? Both of those are creating who you are each and every day. So let's choose wisely, friends. And the last thing I want to say is community. You know, I see this, and this is a lot of the reason why I'm really focused and pushing on what my next 2026 looks like. And it is very much around creating spaces for people to enrich and grow themselves, and the importance of community, because that's the soil you plant yourself in. Having a strong community and a caring community around you is not a luxury. It's a necessity, especially these days where loneliness and apathy are rampant. When you have people around you that help build you up, that help put on your oxygen mask when you need it, it's everything. So I thank all of you who've been here to be a part of my community, and I encourage you to continue to foster and grow your own. And the last thing I want to say is I'm just so grateful. I am ending this year so grateful to have had this space here with you, to have been able to share my ideas and my thoughts. And if it's touched any of you, I'm really honored to think that it has. And I hope we continue onwards. I want to continue to focus on more conversations, more courageous conversations, I should say, more depth, more space for growing. And if there's anything this year has taught me, it's growth doesn't announce itself loudly. It just comes in slowly, progressively. And you only see it when you take time to take a pause. So friends, I wish you the most magical end of 2025. And if you need help taking a little pause, don't forget I have a free download of 30 days of journal prompts to help you think about your winter garden. And whatever you do this holiday season, take a moment to celebrate yourself and everything you've accomplished this year, much more than you think you probably realize. And I cannot wait to see you in 2026. So my friends, bonne fête, and I will be speaking to you soon. Merci, mes amis. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Generate Her. If something sparked your curiosity or took root in your imagination or helped you to see possibilities just a tad bit clearly, I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget you can always connect with me via my website, janebertch.com, or on Instagram. My handle is my name, @Jane Bertch. And if you'd like to go deeper, don't forget to check out my newsletter, Prompts from Paris, my retreats here in the city, journal prompts, and more that you can find on my website. Until the next time, may you keep tending your Jardin, listening to your inner courage, and shining brightly right where you are. À très bientôt, mes amis.